Hi, everybody, and welcome to Media Design Module 5. I am very excited about this week's module. It is probably my favorite module that we have so far in this class. So let me give you a quick overview of everything that we are going to discuss. The first thing we're going to talk about is media buying. And what does media buying mean? So far in this class, we've talked about the different varieties of media that are created, how they're created, who they're created, and all of the elements that goes into the actual application of creating a piece of media. So the color, the logos, the people that are creating the media, the people that are disseminating the media. But what is the process of actually sending out a piece of media that's created out into the world for public consumption? So let's say you create a particular advertisement that's supposed to be on a billboard. You followed all the steps to make sure it meets all the brand guidelines. You have approved it through everybody within your organization to make sure that it is what their objectives are. It's got your call to action. It's trying to sell something. It's trying to promote something. It has everything that you need within it. It is the right colors. It is the right size that it's supposed to be for that particular place or application. And now it's time to actually put it out into market. And in order for it to go into market, you have to go through a process that's called media buying. So you have to work with an agency or people that actually own that piece of property for where you're going to put that advertisement. So if you think of a billboard on the side of the road, somebody owns that. A media or an advertising company is going to help you through the process for actually how you purchase the space to put that advertising up there. So that's a media buy. When we look at media buys, as we've discussed already, usually a buy is not just a single item, or a piece of media is not just going to be a single off piece of media. There's usually a larger campaign around it. You might get lucky. We've had a few examples or some of the articles I shared where there's a one-off piece of media that's successful, but usually there's a campaign. Let's say you're trying to sell season tickets. There is a campaign behind it. It's not just one radio advertisement. Let's say you're trying to promote a particular event coming up, or you're trying to sell a new article of clothing for Nike. There's usually several pieces of media that are supporting those efforts in order to sell that particular item. So in order for all that to actually get out into the media, you go through a media buy. You have a budget, you have a certain set of dollars that you can spend across the different sets of platforms. So what are you going to spend digitally, and what are you going to spend on print? So that's a media buy. So the first thing that you're going to take a look at is what media buying is in the industry, specifically within sports. And then after that, what I am so excited about for this module is the practical application of media and media buying. So we are very, very lucky this week to have a guest speaker. His name's Michael Blazek. He's actually my younger brother. He has spent a number of years working in the NASCAR industry, specifically for Chicagoland Speedway in the Chicago area. He's worked at Chicagoland Speedway in a variety of different roles. Chicagoland is unique because it actually has 3 tracks. It has their traditional NASCAR track where they drive around in a circle. They also have a dirt track, and then they have a drag strip track, which is referred to as NHRA. So you're going to be able to read about all of those within this module. What is Chicagoland Speedway? What is NASCAR? And then the actual drag strip and the different type of racing that they have on there. So there's links to all of that so you can get a better understanding. If you already know, you can skip over that portion. But they are linked in there for you to get a better understanding. So what Michael has done for us, he has very generously provided us with all of their documents for their 2018 campaign. So their most recent campaign. They're currently in their 2019 campaign, so he can't share those documents with us, but he did share with us the campaign from 2018. So what he's done is provided us with all of their radio spots, all of their print spots, and all of their digital spots. And what I mean by spots is the actual media that they've created. So the radio advertisement that you heard, the television advertisement that you saw, the print advertisement that you might see somewhere. You might see it on a billboard, you might see it in a magazine, you might see it in the newspaper, and then any of their social media campaigns and what that digital piece of media actually looked like. So there's a lot of meat and potatoes in that second section as you go through there. The other thing that he did, which is very generous, is provide us with the actual media buy that they worked with their advertising agencies to actually take all of their media and send it out into market. So there are 3 agencies that they work with, and he gives an overview of those 3 agencies and why Chicagoland Speedway uses those agencies. And then you will see what each of those agencies has proposed for the applications for all of their media. So where should they put their radio advertisements? How long should their radio advertisements be? How many times should a radio advertisement run? How far from when their date is that they have their event? Back it up, and how soon should they start advertising? So how far in advance should some of those radio advertisements actually start? All of that is within the documents that are there. I need to stress to you that there's a lot within that page. It is very easy that you could just click through the slides and be done with it very quickly. While there is a lot, it could still be clicked through very quickly. I don't want you to do that. I really want you to take the time to press into reading all the pages, studying them, and analyzing them. It would be a disservice to you if you just clicked through everything and zipped through all the photos and didn't really study what they are. That's not the point of this class. And I really want to make sure that you understand and can see a real life practical example of all of the things that we've talked about in this class before happening truly out in the industry. Again, if I were having this class with you in person, we would go over each piece by piece because I think it's so cool and it's such a practical application of everything we've discussed so far. But I don't have control over what you guys are doing at home, so I just need to put this disclaimer in there that I really hope that you take the time to analyze all of those areas. Also because it's part of your assignment for this week, so make sure you do that. But Michael also did a video for us. So he's going to go through all of those areas. After you've studied them, click to the next section, and there's a video where he actually talks about all of those different pieces of media, which is really cool to not only see what they've done, but also have him explain firsthand where, why, and how they did it all. Pay attention to all the different elements that we've already discussed in this class before. So he's going to talk about storytelling. He's going to talk about paying attention to brand and style guidelines. He's going to go through the design process and how for this particular campaign, talked about using a slant to try to get their messages out. You're going to see through all the file and tag names that I specifically included in there, the different lengths of all the pieces of media. So how long the radio spots are, 15 seconds, 30 seconds, 60 seconds. And then you can go back into the actual media buy and see where each of those particular lengths of radio advertisements were applied and what stations they were on within the Chicago market. You can actually see through the print and digital advertisements. If you take a look at the names of the files, again, I specifically included the names of the files for a reason. It doesn't look pretty on the page, but I wanted you to see the names of the files so that you can see what their target audience is for that particular advertisement. You can see what their title is for their target demographic and where that piece of advertisement was actually going. So it's really cool to study that. The other thing, I know this isn't part of this course, but paying attention to the way they save those files. It is a good thing that I am not an advertiser. I don't work in advertisement because my files sometimes are all over the place. They should be kept nice and neat in a folder, but sometimes they're on my desktop. Sometimes they're in general documents. Sometimes they go into my course documents. Ultimately, at the end of a course, I'm trying to figure out where all my documents are and trying to bring them in so that they're saved. If you are anything like me, your computer probably looks the same. Well, it's very important within the industry that that does not happen when you're running large campaigns and you're running campaigns that have a variety of different pieces of media. So they pay attention specifically to how they save files, and they have to be very specific. We talked last week about how you can update and change digital files quicker than you can a print file. Well, if there are small, slight changes, it's important to make sure that that's noted within the name of a file. So again, not part of this course, but it is still relevant to the industry. And it doesn't look pretty within this particular module that I've got the file name and the big file next to it, but I did that for a reason so you can see how all of that is related when you're actually in the industry, and how sometimes those little details can make or break whether or not you make a mistake or not. And making a mistake when there's large amounts of dollars behind those pieces of media that you're placing can be detrimental not only to the campaign, but also to your job. So pay attention to all of that. At the end of that, I did link the style guide for Chicagoland Speedway and Route 66, so you can take a look at how their brand guidelines are, because we've discussed that so far in this course. We also talked about a little bit, Michael mentioned it, and then I linked some articles about aging fan bases and aging demographics. So that is part of your discussion for this week. I'm getting your opinion on whether or not that's even an issue in the sport industry. It doesn't necessarily have to be within NASCAR, but I'm curious about your thoughts about aging fan bases across sports. The next section is purchasing social media buys, the difference between social media marketing and social media advertising. So while that is discussed within Michael's portion, not specifically or not to the detail that I would like to discuss in this course, so I added some additional elements in there for you to take a look at specifically social media advertising. In terms of the breakdown of that, how you actually place those ads, Google search words, those are all discussed again briefly for Michael, but we're going to dive even further into that if you are taking the marketing course, or maybe you already learned it if you were already in the marketing course. The very last thing that we have within this week's module is a video about video production. Creating video is very cool. It's a lot of fun. We see video all over the sport industry. You see video productions on television, whether you're watching a documentary, you're watching clips during a game, you're at a game and you're watching something up on the video board, or you're watching something on your tablet or some sort of media device. Video production is huge within the sport industry. However, in order to create a video that's actually successful and achieves the objectives for why you're creating the video, you have to go through a process. You have to have those elements and that foundation of how you create a proper video. So much like we've already discussed the proper elements and how to create print and digital media, it's the same thing for video production. So there are a lot of rules and elements behind it. It's a little bit of a lengthy video, but it goes very in depth into all the different theories and concepts and principles behind video production. So hopefully that gives you a great overview of everything we're talking about this week. Again, I am super excited and I am very grateful that Michael was able to share his information and expertise with us. I do have to say, everything that he shared is confidential. So please keep it within our course. There is a disclaimer on the page, but it is imperative that all this information stays within our course on Canvas, that it isn't downloaded, extracted, and shared anywhere else. It is confidential from Chicagoland Speedway, and it needs to stay that way. So we've been given permission to use it for this course, but beyond that, we are not allowed to disseminate it in any other way. So please be respectful of that, but I hope you learn a lot from it. Again, they're generous enough to share it with us, so I hope you take away a lot of information. If you have any questions, please let me know. I am done with all my travels. As I mentioned a couple weeks ago, I've been working for Disney in the NBA experience. So I owe a lot of you grades for some of your assignments. So stay tuned. Those are coming within the next couple of days. I apologize for the delay on all of that. But if you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, enjoy this week's module.